Hi everyone, I'm Avdesh God. In this video, we'll explore about the tree maps and heat maps in Tableau. What are the minimum requirements to build the same and where to use them? Well, let's get started. Heat maps can also be referred to as a visual representation of a crosstab. It can certainly be utilized to evaluate the variation of measures across multiple combinations of one or more dimensions. If we go to Show Me and hover over the heat maps, we can clearly see that we require one or more dimensions along with one or two measures in order to build a heat map in Tableau. Utilizing the Control key, let us select Region from Dimensions along with Segment from Dimensions as well. Let us also select Profits and Sales from Measures. Now go to Show Me and select the heat map. Tableau will automatically plot the heat map for us. Let us now force this visual to occupy the entire view. If we notice, this somewhat looks like a crosstab, wherein one dimension is placed over the column shelf and other over the row shelf. On the other hand, the color and the size is being driven by sales and profits respectively. And that's why over here the total sales are represented by the gradient of this color. The darker the shade of blue, the more the sales, and the lighter the shade of blue, the less the sales. Whereas, as we mentioned earlier, profits are represented by the size of the square. The larger the size, the more the profit. The smaller the size, the less the profit. Let us turn on the legends for this view and set the alignment to center middle. If we hover over, we can clearly see that the consumer segment from the West region is having the highest share of both sales and profits. Whereas on the other hand, the home office segment from South region is having the least of both. Let us now move to the next sheet in order to build the tree map. Tree maps can be utilized to distribute one or more measures by the required dimension. If we go to Show Me and hover over the tree maps, we can clearly see that in order to build the same in Tableau, we require one or more dimensions along with one or two measures. Utilizing the Control key, select Subcategory available under the product hierarchy in Dimensions, along with Profits available under Measures. Now go to Show Me and select the tree maps. Tableau will automatically plot the same for us. Herein, both size and gradient of color of an individual box is represented by the amount of profit. The darker the shade of color, the larger the size of box, the more is the profit. On the contrary, the lighter the shade of the color, the smaller the size of box. That is, we have over here in case of machines and fasteners. In this case, the less is the profit. Moreover, each box represents a subcategory as well. That is what mentioned on the labels. We can clearly see that the copier subcategory is having the highest profits. And at the bottom right, we can also see a label which mentions 3 negative values are there in this view. Reason being, tree maps cannot visualize negative values. So by clicking on this label, we can either filter the data out of it or use absolute values. Well, using the absolute values will not make much of a sense because negative profit will be turned into positive in this case. So let us filter this data for the time being. And as soon as we filter the data, the label from the bottom right is gone. In the next video, we will be implementing the geographical maps in Tableau.